So guys, welcome back to RBR, and it is time to drive the newest member of Porsche's GT RS family. It's of course the GT4 RS, and it's a hell of an entry. As you saw, this thing is a rip-roaring hardcore sports car, and it's one of the most exciting things that I've driven in years. It's a massive update on the already brilliant GT4. And you drive that GT4 and you think, how can this be any better? This thing really shows you how Porsche can push the envelope, even on an amazing car like that. With the GT4 RS, they've done it with a few main areas. First of all, the engine. You can see there, the naturally aspirated GT3 engine. 500 brake horsepower straight from the 911 GT3 Cup car or the brand new 992 GT3. Engine revs all the way to 9,000. Versus the normal GT4 engine, it has an extra 80 PS, which is massive. Max torque is 450 Newton meters, and the 0 to 60 is quoted at 3.4. I will smash that figure when we go out later today. This car is PDK only, so it goes to the 7-speed PDK, but this car is even better than the normal one because it has even shorter sports ratios, and we'll talk about that when I drive it. In terms of chassis, it has ball joints which deliver more precise handling. The chassis is adjustable with an RS-specific shock absorber setup, as well as modified spring and anti-roll bar rate. Now let's walk around and talk about the design and the aero. So guys, here is the GT4 RS with the YSAC package. So many cool details to show you all around this car, starting with the front end, which is a dead giveaway that this is part of the RS family, thanks to that carbon fiber reinforced bonnet, and of course the NACA ducts that marry beautifully then to the GT3 and the GT2 RS. These then push air through here and out into the GT1 inspired front wing. And this is a wing that we've never seen on anything else other than that GT1. It's not on any other production Porsche, and that is just such a cool detail of this car. I absolutely love it. So yeah, that part of the front end, very, very obvious. Then you have our front spoiler lip. This is much exaggerated versus the normal GT4, and you've got of course the RS logo on there. And then on the side you have the air curtains, again exaggerated. These of course push air through the side of the vehicle. And of course, seeing these in person, they're actually looking a bit more aggressive to me than the standard GT4, which I'm pretty sure they are. And here on the front of the bonnet, as you can see, just a sticker for the badge, just like all other RS cars. Some nice details there on the front. Then as we come on the side of the car, more specific details to the RS. It looks like such an RS car immediately, doesn't it? Particularly here with our louvres on top of our front wing here, just like in the GT3 RS and in the GT2 RS. These of course helping with downforce here on the front end. And then that amazing looking shark nose on the front. And then of course we have the multi-spokes here. These are just the forged ones. These are not the magnesium ones. The magnesium ones will cost you a pretty penny in comparison. And then here are our rears. These are wider than the standard GT4, sitting on Cup 2 Rs, again looking absolutely amazing. And then the other party trick of the GT4 RS is the amazing process air intakes. Wait till you hear these when I'm going out on the run. They're amazing. We still have the lower air intake. See, now on the normal GT4, it's that lower one that does the job of both. It does the cooling and it does the air intake. But on the 4RS, our top one does the air intake job, and the lower only does the cooling, and that gives some emotion and of course is more efficient for faster driving and higher performance. All of those elements really coming together on the side, making it so obvious that this is a member of the RS family. And then as you come around the rear, how can you ignore the incredible Swan-neck rear wing, as inspired by the 911 racing series, and then on our new GT3. This is of course a lot more aerodynamically efficient thanks to the thinness of the brackets that we have there. Very, very little aerodynamic drag caused by these. And then you look at the wing itself, it's absolutely massive. Compare it here to my hand. My hand looks tiny in front of this. That's something that I actually say a lot to myself. So it's a massive, massive wing. GT4 RS written here. The lower spoiler lip on the boot lid itself is also extended. Then you've got the little brake light there. And under there, you've got the GT4 RS just as a sticker, no badges to save weight. Then we come to our rear diffuser here. The bottom of the car is completely clad to stop any aerodynamic resistance so that air can flow to our rear diffuser. And then when we get closer, there's actually an extra bit versus the normal GT4, which is here just on each side of it. And that leads us to then the amazing looking exhaust here on the back, inspired by the Porsche 935 Again, this is the only Porsche to have this design of exhaust, and you're going to see, or rather hear, how these bark later on in the video. As we jump in the interior, you can see Weissach RS there on the headrest, and then behind that, the roll cage, finished in that lovely blue. Blue being one of the 2 options that you can get inside the GT4 RS, I think being the nicer one, so all of that looking lovely. Apart from that, you've got the bucket seats as we've seen in the past in all of the RS cars, and of course in the new GT3. Driver zone, not too different. All it says on there is GT4 RS versus the standard car. Then the best bit, which is the short shifting knob straight out of the GT3. I absolutely love this. Loved it on the Touring, loved it on the normal GT3 as well. Of course, Weissach pack giving you carbon on your front bonnet, your process air intakes on the lower, cooling air intakes as well, and then the changes on the interior. Right guys, so that's the aero, and that's the design and the interior. But to really see what this car is like, let's first remind ourselves by driving the GT4. Remind ourselves what that's like here at Anglesey Circuit, and then we'll jump straight into the GT4 RS, both on track and then on road as well, because I think it's so important, even for GT product Porsche, to see how it handles on the road. Right, so last time I was in this trusty red PDK was on the road, and now we're on Anglesey track. Just as a little reminder, see what this car is like. It's going to be very educational versus the RS, hopefully. Even the standard PDK, such a fun car to drive. Got those quicker ratios than the manual, which is always great. Still sounds fantastic revving higher. Sweet steering, great body control, everything you love about 718. Really is a fabulous car, this. If you bring it out on track here somewhere like Anglesey, you could really untap the potential of a car like this. Such sweet steering, such an amazing engine, sounds really good. It's hard to see. I mean, how do you improve on something that sounds and feels and drives as nice as this does? I'm actually kind of intrigued now. Not that I wasn't already, but is it going to be nths and tenths better, or is it going to be way, way better than this? I think you already know the answer to that from my reaction in the intro. But let's really find out now and see what magic do those 2 little letters of RS bring. Right guys, I look silly enough with this helmet on, so I'm not going to put on the 4-point harness. I think the normal seatbelt is enough. Now let's see what this baby sounds like. There's our trusty old style of Porsche key. Let's give it a twist. That sounds different, doesn't it? That's immediately, you can tell it's a different engine. Wonderful. I'm really grateful for these moments that are, yes, I'm in the industry and I get all of that, I get to drive lots of cool cars, but the ability to drive a brand new GT car on track at launch is just something so cool. Oh, listen to that. We're going at no speed at the moment, and that sounds rather good, doesn't it? How different is that to the other engine in the normal GT4? As if you could call a GT4 normal. I'm worried actually, are you guys going to be able to hear me while we're driving here? It doesn't feel like you will. The turn-in is beautiful. Listen to this. Yeah, it's just so exciting, even though I drive so much. You know, this is a bucket list thing. GT product, on track, launch. I'm a happy boy today. Even more so with these engine sounds. Now, of course, initial impressions, of course, the engine's so different. So different, listen to that. And I must stress it feels different in its power delivery as well. The power delivery is just that much more effortless. Of course, the 80 extra PS here, of course you're going to feel that. It's not a small number. But to me, it feels like a totally different car to the normal GT4, just from that element. In fact, I think it feels strangely more stable than that car in every way as well. I'm much happier going at speed in this than I was in that. It's lighter footed, it just feels more nimble on its feet, really, really feels like a different car. And then the speed and the traction phenomenal. I love the way it feels like a totally different car. I love the way the engine sounds completely different. I love the way the turning, the traction, everything about it just makes it... I wasn't expecting that because, you know, the cars look similar and you know what, you're kind of tricked into thinking it kind of looks the same with a few extra bits tacked on, a bunch of carbon, etc. Lots of marketing spiel. When you start driving it, you realise, hey, wait a second, this is something a bit more magical. Woohoo! Once you start to get in the flow with this thing, it is truly part of the same family as GT2 and GT3 RS in only the best way. Turning, perfect. Traction, perfect. Engine sound, perfect. The shorter sports ratios make this car even better than the PDK GT4, which was already even better than the manual. What that means is because you've got the shorter first gear, you're getting more traction as well, be that launch control or out of a tight corner. And can we just talk about the process air intake noise for a minute? This whoosh, the reason I can't bloody hear myself is because of those lovely holes in the side of the car. What a thing. I love this car. It'll probably make us all sad. That'd be very hard for any of us to own it, but the fact that it exists, the fact that it's so glorious, and it sounds so bloody amazing, and we have natural engines still in sports cars today. Thank you, Porsche. Thank you, Weissach. Oh, that's an experience and a half, I tell you. You know, I drive a car like the GT Black Series every day, so you'd think this is a run-of-the-mill affair for me. But I tell you, this car, you got to be alert, you got to be awake, you got to know what you're doing. It's an animal, and even someone like me who's used to driving cars like this, it's so flipping special. And that's what RS is all about, isn't it? Now, I might be wrong. While I'm driving this, you're not going to be able to hear me on track, but I might be wrong. While I'm driving this, I'm feeling like this might be more compliant on the road than its siblings in the GT RS family as well. So how about we head on the road and see what the latest member of the RS family is like to drive on normal roads. Right guys, we have to do launch control because we tested the original GT4 to be quicker than the official figures, and we always find that with Porsche, so how can we not do it with the GT4 RS? Got a trusty Racebox Pro here. Let's see what this car manages right now. There you go guys, 2.9 seconds, 0 to 60. How much of an improvement is that over the official figure? That is ridiculously fast. Right guys, track is all well and good, okay? For me, any sports car, even if it's a track focused car, has to be livable daily to be a truly great car. Can't give any better example of this than, say, my AMG GT Black Series, which for me, I daily around. I take it to Sainsbury's, I'll take it to the school run, down the road to get some milk, whatever. So for me, a car like this, even though it's a track car, needs to be usable daily. And I didn't find the GT2 RS or the GT3 RS usable in that regard. They were really unhappy on normal roads. They wanted to be taken out on track. They wanted to go at speed. I'm on some really bumpy roads here, just outside of Anglesey Circuit. And honestly speaking, the suspension is not that different to your standard Cayman GT4, and the GT4 is a perfectly okay sports car to use daily. Porsche described this as like the mountain bike in your arsenal, where you have a daily car, and this you only really use on the weekends to be hardcore in, but I'm on some terrible UK roads here, and honestly, I've got suspension in normal, it's perfectly usable, and how good does this car sound? Oh my god, I drove the GT4 on these same roads just a little while ago. Went to get some fish and chips actually. Such a British thing to do, isn't it? Anyway, I did, and that car was nice. You know, I love the GT4, particularly in PDK. But this, listen to that. I'm not having to do speed to get some really interesting sound. That process air intake and the natural engine. Oh, You can barely hear any of that on track with the helmet on. There's so much more going on. And you know what, in terms of what you're hearing, like, I can hear stones in the wheel arch. I can hear, of course, the intake sound, everything from the engine, everything from the gearbox, just like the 2RS, which I love. But it's much more daily. I'm not doing crazy speeds here. I'm at the speed limit. And the car sounds fabulous. The thing is, it sounds actually a lot better than the GT4 at the same speed, so I'm getting much more emotion while not being an absolute lunatic. That means a lot. I'll come again to the point of the suspension, nice and comfortable. This is a cool car. Of course, you know I love the manual shifter from the GT3. PDK, ridiculously fast gear changes. Your brain doesn't compute fast enough, and this thing will have changed gears already. It is absolutely faultless. Look at that. Look. Look. Oh, it screams. Wow. Why couldn't they have just made it mediocre? Why couldn't it have been just a teeny bit better than the GT4? Why do I want it? This could be my favourite RS car if I didn't love the GT2 RS's maniacal stupidity so much. This car doesn't scare me like that car did. Of course, that's 700 brake. This is only 500. But this is so much more usable. It's so happy on smaller country roads like this. It can be revved out, you can enjoy it. The fact that our gear ratios are that much smaller even than the PDK makes it a joy. Forget the manual. The manual is obsolete compared to the GT4 RS. And that's in emotion and engagement. I think this car would have failed for me if it was only nths and tenths better than the normal GT4. That's really why I wanted to bring it out on normal roads, to really see, can we have a discernible difference in day-to-day living? Yes, on track, you know, it's so much quicker, posting that amazing 7 minutes and 4 seconds on the Nürburgring, you know, a whole 20 odd seconds quicker than the GT4. That's impressive, but that doesn't really mean anything to me unless it translates on road use, particularly for me personally, in terms of emotion. And this thing is just chock full of glorious emotion. That's why it succeeds. And I love and I hate Porsche for it all at the same time. I love it. I'd love to own one. I know it's so difficult to get on the bandwagon with Porsche. What can you do? Well, you can relish in the fact that this car exists, the fact that a naturally aspirated, crazy track car can still be made, can still be homologulated, and I love every second of it. So if you've enjoyed this video, please do like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm just having too much fun.